Okay, so let's roll that into this next one here because this was another piece of news. Another, I believe, Canadian company. Hut 8. Look at this. Hut 8 miner or Bitcoin miner Hut 8 to create a 750 million Bitcoin reserve through a 500 million ATM program and 250 million stock buyback program. So Hut 8, how much Bitcoin would that get them? $750 million would get them about 50 Bitcoin. And Saylor has 400 and some thousand Bitcoin. But to me, this makes a lot of sense. So you had Bitcoin Well, which I think that without a doubt, Bitcoin Well should be adding Bitcoin to their treasury. We had Marathon in the last couple of weeks. I think they raised $2 billion worth of convertible debt notes to buy Bitcoin. And now we have Hut 8, another Bitcoin miner who has decided to implement the Bitcoin strategic reserve. And it makes so much sense to me because I think historically these Bitcoin miners have been, it's a very tough business. And I don't think that I've been telling people not to buy Bitcoin mining stocks for that reason. Because every 4 years, they have to manage things completely different. They have to think about 10, 12 years ahead of everybody else, and they have to be ready for the ups and downs of Bitcoin. And I do think that some of those, the volatility is going to go down as we move forward here, as we talked about. But for Bitcoin miners, it just makes so much sense to me to be able to have set up this strategic reserve that you can always tap into if you need to. Because what a lot of these Bitcoin miners have had to do in the past is they've, if they have a pool running and they have to make payouts to the people adding hash to their pool. And depending on how that's structured, a lot of these companies get into big trouble. And that's just one aspect of it. But if you had a Bitcoin reserve there that you held onto for a while and with a long-term vision of like 5-10 years, if you just sit on that for a while, that's going to give you way much more cushion during the down days. So I think that's an absolute no-brainer just because they're tied directly to Bitcoin for one, like that's their whole industry, but also because of the volatility within their operations. I think having something like a strategic reserve and using debt to do that, it just makes so much sense. So you're helping yourself, you're giving yourself a really nice cushion for future operations. Plus you're allowing a vehicle for the debt, the people who do want to buy these bonds or these through the ATM program, you're giving them a vehicle to do that. So it's a win-win for both sides, right? It just makes so much sense to me. So historically, I have said don't buy any mining shares, but I'm obviously going to start changing my message to that because we've seen Marathon and Hut 8 in the last couple of months now announced there. And I think that it's a big one in the US too. Core Scientific. I think they've already had a Bitcoin strategic reserve for a while now. So that's Hut 8.